As people, we very naturally focus on changes of events, deltas, or endings. And a lot of people look at 25 years and then we go out of business in year 26. And it's kind of like, well, what did they do wrong is the question, right? It's like, I'm sorry, 25 years, what did we do right?
What do I love about Rhythm and Hues? Mostly the people.
It's not corporate. It's very familial.
We moved into our first house, my husband and I, because my husband worked here too. John Hughes was one of the people who helped us move our stuff.
I think our first contract was actually a film logo, so that was back in 1987. The computers weren't all that fast. And then there was no way of outputting it, so we had to shoot it to film.
We were just trying to get something, anything, to keep us employed and being able to pay each other and make computer graphics. I think the majority of the unifying factor was that we saw character animation as kind of a long-term future.
La la la, la la la.
I look at some of the work we do and I just don't know how we do it. You know, to me it's just magic. The work that goes into the tiger or some of the other things we do, it's beyond belief.
As an animator, I just like the creativity of it. I can take a blank slate and create a performance out of nothing.
They're like, concert musicians, concert pianists that are playing at the LA Philharmonic. They're at the top of their game.
We're at our peak, our pinnacle. It's so exciting.
All of us, I think, at the end of the day, are driven to create. And that's what really gets us excited and what drives us. The challenge with that is that in many cases, that can take over, or at least it can cloud your judgment. You're going to put in extra hours because you want to go the extra mile, and you're going to try to push things as far as you can as an artist, even if the project and the money for that project do not require or facilitate that happening.
Nobody's doing this for the money anymore. Maybe they were at some point, but they're not doing it for the money anymore. People are doing it because they love doing it, which is why I do it.
It's not done by the computer, it's done by a lot of people, and there's a lot of people in the background working away night and day to get the projects done. We as visual effects artists and as visual effects companies do not participate in the profit of any of those films.
The visual effects business is a broken business model right now. The only people who thrive in this industry, in the movie industry, seem to be folks who have profit participation.
At the beginning of 2012, we knew that we had to raise money. I made 4 trips to China. I visited Taiwan a couple times, Hong Kong a couple times. We hired an investment banker.
You hear little rumors, you hear things in the hallways, little whispers. Have you heard this? Have you heard that? It just gets your mind reeling, like all the hypotheticals of what could be going on, but you don't know. 20
months of delays at between 1.2 to 1.6 million per month. That's anywhere from $24 to $30 million of additional costs that we had to take on.
Other projects were supposed to take the people onto that project, and that project got delayed, and all these projects getting delayed puts you in a really, really bad situation.
I was prepared to sell my shares of stock for $1 if somebody would invest the $15 to $20 million that we needed.
And then we had investors standing by who fell out at the last second.
We even had wire transfer information, bank account information. Like, here, give us a bank account. We'll submit, wire you this money by Monday morning. And over the weekend, we're like, okay, great, this is good. We're going to get the money in because everything's been signed. And come Monday, the money just didn't show up.
And then we went bankrupt.
It's not to make the studios out to be the bad guys or anything like that. It's just the model of how we have set up this business is flawed. We bill 500 shots, say, for $10 million or so. And that's what it is.
We'll hire up based on the contract, and then sometimes things just change. The making of a movie is not a precise science. There are creative issues in a movie as it's being done. During the post-production process, and sometimes even during shooting, the movie starts to evolve.
If the movie extends and we suddenly have to work for 3 months more or 4 months more, from the studio's perspective, they paid us $10 million for 500 shots. But from Rhythm and Hughes' perspective, now we're paying for the same artist for 3 more months that we have to continue paying their salaries. There's no other source of revenue other than coming out of Rhythm and Hughes' own pockets.
So our choices were to cut people's salaries or to lay off a significant number of people, or to work people overtime without paying them for overtime by restructuring their contracts. So those kinds of changes are very difficult changes to make, and I felt that any one of those would have so dramatically altered the culture of Rhythm and Hughes that they would have destroyed Rhythm and Hughes. And, well, you know, instead we're in bankruptcy, so I ended up destroying Rhythm and Hughes anyway. So, you know, maybe I should have done something along those lines in order to have tried to preserve Rhythm and Hughes.
We've had to chase a price point that's been dropping very rapidly. And the reason the prices have been dropping quite a bit, one of the fundamental reasons really is the tax subsidies that are being provided in Canada and the UK and other places. If a studio decides there's a $10 million project that they want to take over to, say, Vancouver and award it to a Canadian company, the Canadian company will bid it at $10 million, but the studio gets, say, $3 million back as a tax rebate. So the only way you even get considered for that film is to bid it at $7 million. And so we're now getting less money for the same amount of work.
And so the motion picture studios told the visual effects facilities that if you want to get this work, you have to do it in Vancouver, where you're spending $1 million, $1.5 million building a facility there.
And of course what happens is another country or a region, state says, oh, well, that's a good idea, we'll do that. We'll take our money and we'll take it from our taxpayers and we'll give that to the movie studios. And then, of course, all those people now go to this other place, because what the states and the countries don't realize is every movie they take a look at what's the cheapest place.
So you move to Vancouver, find a house, live there for about 9 months or a year, and then ultimately wind up getting laid off.
It is good to be in LA. This is one of America's economic engines. Hundreds of thousands of middle-class jobs. There's still no better place to make movies and television and music than right here in the United States. Entertainment is one of the bright spots of our economy. And that means that we've got to do what it takes to make sure that this industry and every great American industry keeps that competitive edge so that more folks can find career paths like many of you have and get good middle-class jobs that allow you to support a family and get ahead.
I live the life of what some of my comrades that started a Facebook page called a Pixel Gypsy. You know, and it's not that I've never been good enough to land somewhere for the duration, it's that there never is a duration. I've been on the staff of 5 visual effects shops that were really well known, did amazing work, that all went bankrupt, most of them owing the artist money. You know, you're constantly on the go, chasing which government's going to give the greatest handout back to the studios. I've taken to just living in hotels the past few years, find it's a lot simpler. I got suitcases that were designed to fit in the trunk of my car, and it all layers in there. Yay, VFX. I got a king-size bed, I got a jacuzzi in my room. I have those little soaps that make me feel like I'm on vacation every day, and I love using those little soaps. I love the way they feel when you open them up. Rhythm and Hues was like a new girl in my life. I fell in love again, you know what I mean? Then on a Friday meeting, I had my heart broken, just like I have a million times. And now I'm just this kind of strung out, gray-haired old bachelor.
People want to have lives and families and houses, and just like anybody else. They're not trying to live rich. They're just trying to live their lives. And you can't do that when you have to live in a different city every 6 months, because you're as the studios chase the tax incentives, a group of artists have to follow.
I don't think the studios want visual effects companies to go out of business, because they have a lot of work that needs to be done, and they want us to be healthy. However, they, like any other person that has a job, they're given a budget, they're given a movie, and that you have to do this work for this amount of money.
Remember, this is a fixed bid. You absolutely cannot charge us more than the fixed bid.
You said there were some changes to the boards. What VFX are involved?
The additional shot has beautiful running footage of a car driving across the salt flats. The car then turns into water and morphs into 7 unique animals, all made of water. But one is made of fire.
That may be a little more than we bargained for.
This is a fixed bid.
A fixed bid would be you bid the work, and then no matter what the work is, that's the price that you get.
Filmmaking nowadays is very much a fluid situation. The shots change dramatically. You know, easily half of the shots that we bid could disappear and be replaced by other shots.
You know, this is the filmmaking process, and it's really difficult to go in and know exactly what you want.
Most construction that you see, most houses, skyscrapers, airports, they're built on a fixed bid, which makes sense because there's a blueprint where everything is laid out down to like every screw, every I-beam, every piece of glass.
People always compare it with building a house. You know, if you go to an architect, you want to make the changes. Well, if you agree to a plan and you lay the foundation to your house, it's going to cost you to rebuild that house. In visual effects, it doesn't work that way because we're not paid by the hour that we work. We get paid by the completed project.
If shots change, if they are lengthened, if they're shortened, if you add characters, you can ask for an overage.
But unless we can prove to the studio that there were additional shots, or that there was in fact a very clear change of direction on the part of the director, you know, we just don't get much in the way of overages.
Now we've got this fixed price, you know, this fixed price bidding model where there's a fixed price, and the director just doesn't even have to really be there because the visual effects artist can just do it over.
The art of filmmaking seems to have changed a little bit over the years. It used to be that you'd have a script and you'd storyboard it and you'd have all 3 acts and then you'd go out and shoot. But nowadays, they're